Why? Because drip irrigation is great. For those of you who are not from the agriculture sector, we're talking about these tubes that have little holes in them and allow water to drip slowly into the plant. And this means that it limits water loss, there's less disease, less weeds. It's very easy to use. However, you do need to claim new skills in order to use this kind of technology. You need to make an effort and you need to purchase it. And it costs money. So most farmers, you can see 75% of the farmers, for example, in Senegal, they don't use drip irrigation for different reasons. And here you can see the results. And what I'm showing you is a regression analysis. We won't go too much into the method behind this, but let's just talk about the results. So you can see that the total yearly income strongly affects the odds of adoption of drip irrigation. So if a farmer makes more money every year, the odds of adoption can be up to 6 times higher. The distance from the bigger city, education, and the land compatibility, if the land is easy and is great for drip or not, these all affect the adoption rates. But hope can affect the adoption rate, double the adoption rate. So for every 1 point in this hope scale that increases, the adoption of drip irrigation by farmers can double itself. This is very, very important because this is something that governments can try to work on with the farmers, try to influence and increase hope in the land, in the field. This is just the beginning, so we're going to look over at character strengths and we're going to see some more different effects that these positive psychology antecedents have on farmers. And I'm going to go back to this. This is just what I was telling you today really quick, is an example for how different disciplines can connect in order to make more appropriate policy or a more specific policy for different aspects. In this example, such as food security, which is obviously a global issue. And I have 20 seconds. And I do hope that in this convention, I know you're just starting, maybe you'll keep in mind that trying to think sometimes outside of our discipline, for example, me coming from the public policy department, thinking in the positive psychology way, trying to think outside of our discipline can sometimes bring in new ideas and new light over questions that have been asked for a very long time.
Great. Thank you very much. Questions? Yes.
Would it be possible to analyze the new technologies you want the farmers to adopt? Like
Sorry?
Could you precise the new technologies you advise farmers to adopt, like drip irrigation?
So I don't advise farmers to I personally, as much as I look like a farmer, I'm not. So I don't advise farmers to adopt or not adopt technology. But it is a really good question as for what technologies do we want to test?
Yeah.
Because, it's questionable. I mean, GM, we're not so sure. We started with drip because there's no question. It's not debatable. I will tell you that we also asked where their seeds are from. We also asked them about different technologies for land conservation. Do you cover the crops? Do you rotate your crops? But since this is just the beginning, we haven't decided yet how we want to approach that. It's a different question.
Yeah, it can be really.
Sure, of course.
Have
Yeah.
side effects of some technologies.
Of course, yeah. Any other questions? Since I'm here, yeah.
Lee, by example, the 2 examples where you had one farmer that adopted the positive approach and the yield was a lot higher in both different countries. So the psychology of someone doing better than the other person as a neighbour, surely that's going to promote the neighbour to adopt to the other way.
Sure, so the photos that I showed you of the different neighbors are before we tested, so I don't know if these are specifically farmers that have higher hope, for example. But of course, social capita and effect from your neighbors affect how you decide to grow your farm. And if your neighbor is very successful, that might affect either way. It might make you feel you're not a good farmer, there's no hope, there's no future, or it make you want to grow better. It's a different kind of study, and I do think it's a very reasonable thing to check also, that the dynamics between the social network. Thank you for that.
Not sure if you can see. Not sure if you can see down here at the Hopeful Farm. So we hope to see you all in 10 minutes back here seated, and we have a nice coffee break outside.